My name is Joel. My question was, is there a link between the number of drowning deaths and the South Australian Swimming and Aquatics funding model? I chose to mind map all my interests and make some minor questions that related to my interests. I then browsed the internet trying to look up issues which concerned all of my interests and tried to formulate a possible question. Also tried to make the question seem intriguing to me so that I had motivation to answer it. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble trying to determine how I could refine my question so that I could answer it widely or using enough information. I tried to plan what information or sources I could use together and answer my question. I ended up listing all primary and secondary sources and browsing the internet, and I used most information used to answer the question came from an interview and the internet. I decided to do 3 focus questions which sort of interrelated, made it easier than just answering one whole question. Found it easier because I could gather information which related to each focus question, and then I could sort of interrelate rather than just trying to answer the whole question. Articles, statistics from surf lifesaving club pages. I interviewed David Roberts, who's the Chief of Swimming and Aquatics South Australia. I printed off all my sources and referenced and sort of put it into 3 focus questions which relate all the sources that related to each focus question. I then sort of tried to interrelate each, I suppose, sub-question and finally answer my title question. My outcome was written in written form. I found it easier to do it this way because it suited me personally, as I'm not a great speaker, and instead of running the risk of doing an oral presentation and making a speech error which I couldn't fix. Yeah, written form just seemed easier. It could have been drafted and I could have fiddled around with it a lot more to finalise it better. Yeah, I used footnotes because I wasn't really familiar with in-text referencing. I found footnotes a lot more easier and I suppose less time consuming. My biggest challenge was creating my actual question. I found it hard to create a question which I was interested in and couldn't answer straight away without conducting some research. I also found it hard to create a question that I would be motivated into research for half the year, the same topic for half the year. I also had a challenge conducting an interview with someone in Adelaide, as living 3.5 hours away and isolated. It was a bit of trouble coming down all this way for just one interview. I managed to talk over the phone and email and conduct my interview, which set me back in time quite a lot, but I was able to get back. Create and finalise the question before you actually start the subject, and create a timeline for what you're going to start and finish each week. This makes things a lot more easier in the long run when you're concentrating on 4 other subjects. And enjoy the time where you actually get to make a question which you actually want to learn about for once in schooling. Research project helped me most in my organisation skills. Having to organise when you finish and start the folio, outcome and evaluation all in the same subject required organisation because of the long time period where it's due. You can sort of say that you can put it in 1 week and then put it to the next week and so on. So this helped me in university where I've had to, well, I'm an independent student now and I have to organise everything and manage everything for myself. I've also gained some degree of personal confidence trying to organise an interview with someone I never spoken to before and never really heard of. This helped me in university when I've had to need help and go out of my own way to talk to someone who I don't know as well. So research project has basically helped me with my working skills and better prepared me for uni.